from preschool teacher to group heir, a journey to protect heritage and discover true value. The morning of Olivia's wedding day began with a characteristic bustling atmosphere. At the lavish Grand Plaza Hotel, where every detail is perfectly planned, Emma, the simple sister, quietly fulfills her task. As a kindergarten teacher, Emma was used to busy days, but today was different. Everything she did was scrutinized under Olivia's sharp eyes. "Emma, where are the VIP gift bags? And oh my God, don't tell me that I'm going to wear those shoes to the wedding," Olivia reproached, glancing at the simple shoes Emma was wearing. "Why then, does Aunt Helen always love me more than I do? I never understood what class was." Speaking of Aunt Helen, Emma's heart sank. Aunt Helen had died just 3 months earlier, leaving a huge void in Emma's life. While Olivia and her parents saw her as an eccentric person living in poverty, Emma cherished Aunt Helen for her simplicity and valuable lessons she taught her. Aunt Helen was the one who taught Emma how to find joy in the little things, from tending the herb garden to living true to her own values. "Don't talk about Aunt Helen anymore," Olivia interrupted, shaking her head. "She's just an odd woman, living like a poor person even though she has a trust. Fortunately, she left all her assets to charity instead of giving it to someone like me, just to waste." Emma bit her lip, suppressing the surge of emotions. She remembers the afternoons with Aunt Helen, learning to distinguish each plant in the garden. Aunt Helen always said that true value is not in possessions, but in the way we live and treat others. But Olivia never understood that. For her sister, life is only about glamour and social relationships. The wedding ceremony took place in one of the city's most lavish venues, with imported flowers, food served by Michelin-starred chefs, and a guest list full of celebrities. As Emma was adjusting the cards with the names of the guests at the banquet table, an older, well-dressed man approached her. "Are you Emma Bennett?" he asked, his voice calm but authoritative. "Yes, it's me," Emma replied, a little surprised. "I am Harold Kingston, Aunt Helen's lawyer. I have a letter from her, which is assigned to be delivered to you today." Emma took the heavy envelope, sealed with red wax in the classic way. Before she could open it, Olivia had already appeared, her eyes flashing with frustration. What else? She couldn't believe that Aunt Helen still wanted to make trouble even after she died. "Leave it, Emma. Today is your day." But this time, Emma didn't give in. The strange feeling of holding the envelope in her hand made her decide to stand up. "No, I'll open it," she said, her voice steadfast. The objections of Olivia and her parents could not stop Emma, and as soon as she breaks the seal, her life changes forever. When Emma opened the letter, everything seemed to go quiet. Aunt Helen's neat handwriting appeared before her eyes, carrying a story that Emma had never expected. "Dear Emma," the letter began, "if you're reading these lines, you're gone, and Olivia is getting married. But I have things to say, facts that only I deserve to know." Emma continued to read in amazement. Aunt Helen revealed that she was not as poor a woman as her family thought. She is actually the secret CEO of Montgomery Industries, a global technology and real estate conglomerate. Her simplicity was not because of deprivation, but because she chose to live that way, away from the glamour and endless ambition that the Bennett family had always pursued. "I chose to live my life simply not because I had to, but because I wanted to remind myself that the real value is not in possession," the letter reads. "You, Emma, are the only people in the family who really understand that. I always appreciate the little things and see my aunt's true self. That's why I left all my assets to me." The letter was accompanied by documents proving that Aunt Helen had bequeathed Emma the entire $89 million estate, including Montgomery Industries, its portfolio, and real estate. She is not only the heir, but also the one who was secretly prepared by Aunt Helen for the role of corporate leader throughout the years. Emma held her breath as she read the letter. She looked up and saw Olivia and her parents' eyes staring at her, curious and suspicious. Olivia, in a lavish wedding dress, asked impatiently, "So what did she write? Don't tell me what she left me." Emma kept her composure, folded the letter, and looked directly at her sister. "Aunt Helen is not poor. She's the CEO of Montgomery Industries, and she's left it all to me." Emma's words were like a bomb exploding in the middle of the room. Olivia gasped, her mother dropped the wine glass in her hand, and her father began to stammer. "What? That aunt left for you? Impossible!" Olivia almost screamed. "No, she can't do that. There must be some confusion. How can a preschool teacher like you manage a large corporation? I'm going to destroy everything." Emma, for the first time in her life, felt her confidence rise. She stood up straight, her voice steadfast. "Aunt Helen trusts me because she knows I understand the true value of life. It's not money or fame, it's how we treat others and the values we bring." Emma's words silenced the whole family, but that silence was only the beginning of a storm of strife and conflict. In her heart, Emma knew that she was about to face great challenges, not only from her family but also from the enormous responsibility left by Aunt Helen. But she also knew, with the preparation and love that Aunt Helen had for her, she would not fight alone. And so, Emma's journey to protect Aunt Helen's legacy and prove her worth officially begins. The story of Aunt Helen's huge legacy is like a bomb that shakes the whole family. Olivia, in her expensive wedding dress, couldn't believe what she had just heard. Impossible. Younger sibling? A preschool teacher inherits the whole group? This is definitely a joke. She screamed, her voice full of indignation and jealousy. Emma's parents are no better. Her father, who always puts reputation and power first, tries to stay calm but cannot hide his ambitious eyes. "Emma, you need to think about your family. We are always together, and this money must be used for the common good," he said, his voice sounding more like an order than a suggestion. Emma, who had been accustomed to bowing down and backing down at her family's demands, stood her ground for the first time. "Aunt Helen left this property to me, not to my family. I trust you, and I won't betray it," she said, her voice firm, though her hands were still shaking a little from the pressure. Olivia shouted, "It's not fair. She is a more knowledgeable and experienced person. If someone deserves to inherit, it must be you, not you. You only know how to work with children. How can you run a big corporation?" Emma took a deep breath, looking directly into her sister's eyes. "Maybe you think I'm not capable, but Aunt Helen thought otherwise. Over the years, when I went to the spa or went to parties, I was with my aunt, learning from her. She taught me more than I could ever imagine, not only about business, but also about how to live up to my values." Emma's words made Olivia stiffen her throat, but her eyes still flashed with anger. "I won't leave this alone. Don't think you can keep it all to yourself." Olivia let go of the threat before leaving the room in anger. At the same time, Emma received unexpected support from Helen's lawyer, Harold Kingston. "Miss Bennet," he said as everyone had left, "Aunt Helen has prepared everything to protect her. She knew that her family would not easily accept this decision, and she withheld all the necessary documents to assist her in facing them." Emma felt a new strength rise in her heart. She knew that the road ahead would be full of challenges, but she was not alone. Aunt Helen had prepared everything to ensure that she would not only protect her property, but also maintain the value she had always preserved. The next day, Emma went to Montgomery Industries headquarters to meet with the board of directors. Her presence, a simple preschool teacher who enters the world of powerful people, surprises everyone. But when she confidently presented what Aunt Helen had taught, doubt quickly turned to respect. With the support of Mr. Kingston and the team that Aunt Helen had trusted, Emma began to learn how to lead a corporation. She realized that while this responsibility was great, the lessons from Aunt Helen had equipped her with the strength to face any challenge. Not only did she take over the estate, but she also began to implement Aunt Helen's vision: to transform Montgomery Industries into a corporation that puts people and social responsibility at the center. Emma's journey has officially begun, not only to protect Aunt Helen's legacy, but also to demonstrate the true value of kindness and steadfastness in an ambitious and competitive world. Emma's early days at Montgomery Industries were not easy. Entering the magnificent building, facing the powerful people on the board, Emma clearly felt the suspicion on their faces. Can a preschool teacher afford to take over a multi-billion-dollar corporation? But Emma knew she wasn't alone. Aunt Helen has prepared her not only with knowledge, but also with a reliable support team, including Mr. Harold Kingston and Maria, Aunt Helen's longtime assistant. With guidance from the board, Emma quickly became familiar with the group's business activities. She spends her time thoroughly researching the reports, projects, and strategies that Aunt Helen has left behind. Emma realized that Montgomery Industries had great potential, but it had previously operated on the goal of maximizing profits, sometimes ignoring human values and social responsibility. She began to come up with reform ideas, establishing a charity named after Aunt Helen to support scholarships for disadvantaged children and investing in sustainable community development projects. While Emma works to rebuild the group's vision, elsewhere, her family is quietly preparing for a legal battle. Olivia and Emma's parents, unable to accept that all the property was entrusted to her, filed a lawsuit to regain the inheritance. They allege that Emma manipulated Aunt Helen and that she was not sensible enough to make such legal decisions. When Emma received information about the lawsuit, she was not surprised. Aunt Helen anticipated this, Mr. Kingston said, handing her a brochure. It contained all the evidence that Aunt Helen had carefully collected over the years, from emails, text messages, to recordings of the times the family tried to manipulate and persuade her to change her will. One of the documents that is particularly important is evidence that 2 years ago, Olivia and her parents conspired to claim that Aunt Helen was incapable of running the property in order to control the entire estate. "We will not only defend her inheritance," Mr. Kingston said, "but also expose their true faces if necessary." The lawsuit quickly became a tense battle. In court, Olivia tried to play the role of a traumatized sister, telling about family love and the responsibility to protect common property. But Emma, with careful preparation, did not let herself be shaken. When the evidence was presented, from a plot to seize Olivia's huge debts, all their efforts quickly collapsed. The judge not only rejected the lawsuit but also strongly criticized the behavior of Olivia and Emma's parents. Eventually, they were forced to sign papers pledging to waive all claims and repay the money they had borrowed illegally from Montgomery Industries. After the lawsuit, Emma felt relieved. Not only did she protect Aunt Helen's legacy, but she also made it clear that the values that Aunt Helen had instilled would not be overshadowed by greed or selfishness. But most of all, she realized that she had changed. No longer her sister who was always looked down upon, but a confident leader who was ready to face any challenge. The legal battle is over, but Emma knows that this is only the first step. Now she can focus entirely on rebuilding Montgomery Industries and fulfilling Aunt Helen's vision, to build a corporation that is not only commercially successful, but also delivers sustainable value to the community. After Emma's family filed a lawsuit to fight for inheritance, she entered a legal battle not only to protect her property, but also to protect the values that Aunt Helen had instilled. Olivia led the way with allegations that Emma was incapable of managing Montgomery Industries, even alleging that Aunt Helen was not lucid when making a will. However, Aunt Helen had everything ready to protect Emma. With the support of Harold Kingston, Emma presented evidence that her family had repeatedly attempted to seize the property, including text messages, emails, and even their previous attempts to claim that Aunt Helen was incapacitated. One by one, the documents were presented in court, collapsing all the arguments of the family. The judge not only dismissed the lawsuit, but also ordered the family to return the money borrowed illegally from Montgomery Industries' subsidiaries. Eventually, they were forced to sign legal papers pledging not to continue the dispute. Despite the victory, Emma did not feel gloating. Instead, she was relieved to be able to protect Aunt Helen's legacy. But the relationship with the family, which had long been fractured, was now almost irreparable. Olivia, frustrated and angry, blames Emma for her failure, while her parents try to apologize but only hope to get something in return. Overcoming family grief, Emma focused on rebuilding Montgomery Industries. She began to carry out Aunt Helen's vision, not only to enrich the company, but also to build community support programs, establish the Helen Charitable Foundation, and bring meaning to the existence of the corporation. The war is over, but Emma knows that this is just the beginning. She is determined to build a legacy not only on business success, but also on the deep human values that Aunt Helen left behind. After winning her legal battle with her family, Emma focused her entire attention on developing Montgomery Industries, according to the vision that Aunt Helen had shaped. She not only inherited a large corporation, but also accepted her aunt's mission to build a socially responsible business, bringing sustainable value to the community. Emma started by founding the Helen Foundation, a charity that provides scholarships for disadvantaged children, builds community gardens in major cities, and provides free vocational training programs to low-income workers. For her, it's not just about philanthropy, it's about continuing the legacy of Aunt Helen, who has always taught her that true value lies in what we give to others. At Montgomery Industries, Emma promotes sustainable business policies, such as prioritizing partnerships with local businesses and minimizing environmental impact. Initially, these ideas made some shareholders apprehensive, but when the company began to attract positive attention from the public and achieve sustainable profits, they quickly became supportive. Despite her success, Emma did not forget to keep herself connected to the simple values that Aunt Helen had instilled. Every weekend, she spends time at her aunt's house, tending to the herb garden, a symbol of resilience and durable deep roots. The garden, like herself, is a testament to a philosophy of life, that strength lies not in glamour, but in the ability to survive and thrive, even in adversity. Emma has turned Montgomery Industries into not only a successful business, but also a symbol of compassion and social responsibility, the true legacy that Aunt Helen left her.